Successful Minds with Patricia Barnowski-Schneider, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet. Hear their stories and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Successful Minds with Patricia Barnowski-Schneider is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Patricia Barnowski-Schneider.
Hello and welcome back to Successful Minds. I'm your host, Patty Baranowski-Schneider, CEO of Pristine Advisors. Today I'm joined by Daniel Dykins, President of Honorarium, Inc. Our topic today focuses on software startups and athletes. So thank you for joining us today, Daniel.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Now tell us a little bit about yourself.
I was a finance major at University of Notre Dame. I went to work on Wall Street in the hedge fund business. I invested primarily in technology companies in the long-short equity hedge fund strategy. And it was when I was running a hedge fund in Boston, we needed a better way to communicate internally around our research process. And I tried to buy software to do that, and it didn't exist. So I hired a bunch of developers. We built an internal platform, and other investors caught wind of it, loved what we had, asked if they could buy a subscription. And before I knew it, I had spun out my first software company. So fast forward, I'm working with my co-founder, Katie, on my sixth software company. I've had 3 successful exits and 2 failed startup attempts.
Very nice. Now, related to name change, image, and likeness, NIL, prior to July 2021, college athletes were not permitted to earn money from their name, images, or likeness. This rule change has sparked a lot of disruption in college sports and opened the door for Honorarium to exist. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. I think Katie might be better at answering this question. Katie's got a background in sports and college trustee, and it was her idea. So I'd love for you to tell that story, Katie.
Yeah. Hey, Patty. My name is Katie Malik. I'm the CEO of Honorarium. And prior to Honorarium, I was an executive at FanDuel, leading operational readiness for the company globally. At the time, I was also a trustee at a mid-major Division I university with college athletic oversight, and really got interested in the payment of college athletes selfishly because I got worried about how mid-majors and Group of 5 programs, athletic programs that are not as well funded as the Power 5 that you hear normally, like the Alabamas and the LSUs and the Michigans and the Notre Dames of the world. How do they stay relevant and competitive in this world of this changing world of college sports and the ability to pay college athletes? And fast forward, I was watching a college basketball game, St. Bonaventure, where I went to and did my undergrad. And this kid shot a 3-pointer and it changed the dynamic of the game. And afterwards, I'm like, that was awesome. And I wish I could figure out how to compensate him and send him $20. And based on all of my background prior to Honorarium, whether it be in building software technology for big banks or strategy at a fast growing company or getting my MBA at Notre Dame, I'm like, I know how to do this. And so really kind of last year, very quickly started asking questions and started talking to people. And Dan is one of the people that I started talking to about this. And we know each other through the Notre Dame network. And I was very much, I don't want to do this alone. This is my second startup. And I learned a lot. And Dan is very seasoned as well. And we got talking, and I got talking with other ADs. And we were like, hey, let's do this. And that was kind of the beginning of Honorarium. And we're really building a fan to player application that allows college sports fans to celebrate student athletes.
All right, so I guess tell us a little bit about Honorarium. Like, what exactly is this?
So yeah, sure. Honorarium is a fan to player application where college sports fans have the ability to compensate and make pledges or honors to student athletes for their content. It is a web-based application that is also mobile. And sports fans can go and find their favorite athlete, find their teams, follow their schools. We know that the college sports fan is a different sports fan than a regular sports fan, and there's 180 million of them. And so they go to our site, they find athletes, they're perusing their content, and they're able to then make an honor, that's what we call them, or a pledge of their discretion to those student athletes. And then those student athletes make money. And we're really working to democratize college NIL as well. Right now, the lion's share of the money is going to football and men's basketball, over 51%. I played field hockey in college.
Right.
And as I was thinking about what this becomes, how do we really democratize it? How do women's sports benefit? And so what we have built is compensation sharing technology. When a student athlete is honored, they get the lion's share of the money, but then part of that is shared with their teammates and then all athletes at the school. So yeah, there's a kind of a trickle down effect with regards to what we're doing.
Very nice. Now, what challenges have you faced while launching your software startup?
Well, yeah, it's like with any startup, you're always challenged for time and resources, and there's never enough hours in the day. And when you're launching something from nothing, right? This was an idea Katie had sitting on her couch watching a basketball game, and we didn't incorporate until May of 2020. And by the end of the year, we had delivered our MVP, minimally viable product, right? So it's kind of the first ugliest iteration of your software that you improve upon and build upon and add features to over time. And we are running, when you look at it from that perspective of launching in May or incorporating in May and launching your first version of a software product within a few months, that sounds from the outside like you're running at breakneck speed. But to people like Katie and me and our investors, right, you can never run fast enough. You always want to be doing more. And with startups, you're capacity constrained, right? You just simply don't have the resources of a larger company to go out and just hire more people to do more things faster. And with any startup, you kind of want to balance dilution with progress. So your company is worth the least when you don't have a software product built. So you tend to you want to raise enough money to just get that out the door and establish a milestone and then increase your valuation and then go out and raise more money at a higher valuation that's less dilutive. So there's kind of this prescriptive stair-step function in every software startup that is necessary, but it's challenging because it would be easy. Raising money is never easy, but it would be easier to raise a whole bunch of money and take on a whole bunch of dilution and then just hire a whole bunch of people. The problem with that is if the market turns, which the market right now for VCs is challenging, you don't want to get into a situation where you raise a bunch of money, you hire a bunch of people, and then you're over your skis. So it's measured growth, it's being disciplined, but I would say it's the age-old challenge of resources and time.
Okay. Now, how does Honorarium bridge the gap between college sports fans and athletes?
So really our goal is to build the largest community of athletes and their fans. And we are for everybody. We play in a space where there's some land grab going on from a brand to player application, big brands, Nike, Gatorade, trying to work with the best of the best. We want to support all college athletes, and we work with athletes from Division I all the way to Division III. 35% of our athletes are Division III athletes. We also work with NAIA athletes, which is another division outside of the NCAA.
Okay.
And club sports as well. And cheer and dance sometimes falls under that. So we're very much taking a fan approach. We want to build a place where student athletes love to go and their fans love to go and they're celebrating each other.
That's nice. And it's good incentive for everybody as well. Nice.
For sure.
Now, how does Honorarium's mobile payments platform work?
It's fairly simple. A fan goes to our site, they find athletes, and they're able to transact, very similar to kind of a marketplace or an e-commerce model. We're building that out, and we're building out other significant features. So in the future, student athletes are going to be able to donate very soon, like within days. Student athletes are going to be able to take a portion of their NIL money and donate that to charity. And we've actually partnered with some of the best charities with regards to student athlete mental health. That is really top of mind right now, and student athletes will be able to choose which charities they want to donate. Like Dan said, we built our MVP. It was truly an MVP, a minimum viable product, and we are adding features every day, and we've got some really cool things coming. But with regards to the rails, it's somewhat straightforward at this point in time.
Nice. Now, what are some of the ways college fans can engage and support athletes and teams through Honorarium?
Dan, I've talked a lot. Do you want to talk some more?
Sure.
Like-
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of ways. What we're trying to do is build a marketplace, right? And that's always difficult because you really need the athletes to show up first for the fans to have something to support. Dealing with colleges is it's difficult at times, right? Because at any given season, you've got athletes in various stages of travel, and it's hard to just convince an athletic director to have us come to campus and sign up all the athletes, because they'll say, well, it's championship season, our baseball team's traveling here and our women's basketball team is traveling there. And so, really the way to engage is we're looking to bring athletes on board and, encourage them to sign up for honorarium. One of the beautiful things about this model is that we had about 600 student athletes pre-register to sign up for our platform before we launched, and we assumed in our modeling that the average college athlete would have about 1,000 social media followers, and that was just a guess. We really didn't know the answer. And then fast forward through 600 athletes, we found out it was north of 1,800. So really the model is sign the athletes up, have the athletes reach out to their fan base who are already following them, encourage them to come to honorarium and support them and honor them. When we get a critical mass of student athletes on the platform, we can then start going out and advertising to fan bases. And a very inventive way to do that Katie thought of is if there's a big upset, you've got a small team beats a big team, we have the opportunity to go out and advertise to that fan base while they're all juiced up and ready to, very excited. And so there's, I think what could also be interesting is fans inviting the athletes they follow to follow our platform as well. But as Katie said, this is a massive marketplace. There's 182 million college sports fans, and there's over 500,000 collegiate athletes. So the market is very large, and we believe there'll be some tipping point where athletes start making money on our platform, and then discussions happen in the locker room and they start sharing it with other teammates. And it's something that we hope will blossom into a really awesome, fast-growing, exciting company.
Oh, very nice. I didn't even realize that it was that large of a pool. That's actually awesome.
It's ginormous. So even if we have a small portion, we're still benefiting and helping student athletes and their fans.
Nice. Now, what have been some of the successes and accomplishments that Honorarium has achieved since its launch?
So first and foremost, we became a company at the end of May, and it's been a full-on sprint. We've grown our team. We've created full-time jobs in Rochester, New York, which personally I'm very excited about. I grew up here. This is where Dan lived, and it's great to bring tech jobs to Rochester, New York. We've also engaged in some really cool relationships with some of the best schools in the country. So we're building relationships and have been approved as NIL vendors for schools like Michigan and Syracuse and Chapel Hill, and some mid-major universities like Loyola Chicago and St. Louis and St. Bonaventure. So those are really exciting. And that's what I love, is building relationships with schools and student athletes. And, kids are making money. The kids that are on our platform have started to make money. And if you look at the data, on average, people think that student athletes are making a ton of money when it comes to NIL. On average, if you look at all the student athletes across all the divisions, they're making $65 a year. So we have paid out more than that in less than 2 months of being in operation. So we can only grow and help boost that number. And so that's been exciting to see as well.
Yeah, for sure. That's actually awesome. Nice.
Yeah.
If I could add to that, I would say too, I think there's a huge opportunity for women in sports. So, Katie mentioned that football and men's basketball get the lion's share. I think she said more than 51%. It's actually about 68%. It's more than 2/3. So you've got every other team and all the women's teams competing for a very small portion of that pie. And that shouldn't be the case, right? And the legacy model works for the people that are involved in the legacy model, and that's connecting a huge brand with a big time football player. But we see an opportunity for everyone to benefit. And, college is 60% women. Or, women represent 60% of the students in college. They shouldn't be fighting for a third of the pie. So we're looking to, as Katie said, democratize that pool and really bring opportunities to everyone, regardless of what level, right? Division I, Division II, Division III. All of these student athletes have social media fans and followers. And that really, our technology is unlocking the potential of their social media following to help them, pay the bills. And another thing I'll say, people do believe that athletes are all scholarship athletes. There's very few sports that are full scholarship. Football's full scholarship. Basketball's full scholarship. A whole bunch of sports are shared scholarships. So like cross country, for example, with women, if you're a cross country runner, track and field and cross country runners, for women, they have to split 18 scholarships. And that's across. Now, if you're a distance runner, you're running cross country in the fall, you're running indoor track in the winter, and you're running outdoor track in the spring. And there's probably, I'd say on average, 60 to 70 track and field athletes. So you're dividing 70 athletes, 18 scholarships. So these athletes really can use the financial help that we're providing, because even if you're a full scholarship athlete, there's a lot of food insecurity. If you're a full scholarship athlete and you're from a poor background, you're not going off campus to eat at a burger place with your friends that are wealthier. And so we really feel proud about that we're bringing these opportunities to all students.
Oh, it's awesome. One, you're giving a voice to something that no one's even heard about. And, like you said, I'm in New York. I don't know anything about any of this. So, now that you're shedding some light onto it, it's amazing. And I wouldn't know half of the hurdles that they're going through. So having somebody, pretty much having their back and helping them out is just amazing. Now, what are the long-term goals that you have for Honorarium?
So we want to become the world's largest community of athletes and fans. We're really leaning into that. We want to be a place where athletes love to go and their fans love to celebrate them. There's a ton of opportunity in just the sports industry, and then this new industry that's popping up that is college NIL. And we want to be that place that the fans are coming to.
Now, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs looking to start a software startup?
Dan and I talked about this before the call, and one is get started. There's a lot of thinking it's going to be perfect and wait, but also things take a lot longer than you think they're going to. And you have to be patient, and you have to understand that where you start is not where you finish. And sometimes where you finish is 100 times better than you could ever imagine. And so the point of getting started and then trusting the process and working your butt off.
Yeah. And even like you said, connecting, with Daniel. I mean, I actually had a conversation with someone yesterday, and, they were talking about having ideas and, either one thinking, okay, don't have all of it, but that's where you connect with other people. They always say, surround yourself with people smarter than yourself, or just ask questions. Don't be afraid. So interact with other people in the same space, or ask questions, or even if you have part of the idea, getting someone else who has another part of the idea can help this grow. So, it's really good. Like, don't quit, don't give up, just keep pushing forward, and don't be afraid to ask questions,
Yeah, Katie and I have these conversations all the time, and startups are hard, right? A 9-to-5 job is hard, right? Yeah. Working is hard. Putting food on your own table is infinitely harder than working for someone else, and being responsible for other people. And no one can do it alone. You need a team. You need to surround yourself with great people, and you need to be very resilient. Startups are not for everyone. You need to have a really thick skin, and you need to anticipate that things are not going to go the way you plan. I've never seen a business plan or a business model track to form, right? It's always course corrections and adjustments that need to be made. And, you can anticipate certain things, and then the market tells you otherwise. Another thing I would say specifically with software is a very difficult business, because The talent, software talent, development talent is very expensive. And unlike, say, a grocery store, you can borrow money to start a grocery store because you actually have assets, to use as collateral. And you open the door on day one and you start making money and you can pay back that loan. With software, it takes a long time to build software and you're paying expensive people to do that. So it takes a while. So you need to be very mindful about your ability to raise capital, or if you're self-funded, your ability to kind of stay in the game. And those are all very challenging things, but with proper planning and asking the marketplace if they want what you're about to build before you spend money and build it is another very important lesson that I think people learn the hard way. So those are a couple things I'd add to that.
Well, nice. But like you said, I mean, this isn't just for your home state. I mean, this is pretty much universal around the U.S. I mean, that's, like I said, I didn't realize how many athletes there actually are. So obviously there's a need for that. And like you say, with technology, the world is always evolving. Technology is constantly evolving. So, thinking outside the box, thinking ahead of what can we do, and constantly exploring all the different ways of doing it. It'll keep something that's in need now. It'll just keep it, I guess, in the process, throughout, just, with the whole technology evolution.
Yes, finding a market that's big enough to support a business is also important, right? So, as we mentioned, there's 182 million sports fans. We think the tangible addressable market is about $9.1 billion. And there's a whole bunch of companies connecting players with brands, but really going direct to fans, we think, is unique in our space, and we're very excited about that. So we found a great market. We found a market we both love. Katie and I are both sports fans, and there's a real need out there for these athletes to help supplement their incomes. So we're very excited to be doing what we're doing.
Yeah, for sure, because I know a lot of people, unfortunately, they get into the college sports because they didn't have the home funding, so they were from low income, and this was kind of their way out. So there is a desperate need for that. Not, everybody just assumes everybody's, they're going to get sponsored by this company and everything's great. Not for everybody, so, especially from the start in college, they need this, so that's actually really nice that you're doing that.
Yeah, we appreciate that. I think there's also, world-class college athletes. We found out, I didn't know this. I don't think Katie knew this. We found out a few months ago, 60% of the Olympic team comes from NCAA athletics.
Oh, wow.
So there are a lot of literally world-class athletes that play sports that just don't have large fan following, swimming and diving or track and field. And all of these athletes have individual fans, right? So we think that there are a whole bunch of athletes that should get the recognition that they're not getting from big brands. The Olympic athletes that make the money are the ones that win the gold medal. But the athlete that came in, fourth or something, no one knows their name. So we want to help honor those athletes as well.
Yeah, and hopefully this brand, it starts picking up momentum and it gets recognition, and, the media picks it up, and maybe even doing like the best performer of the month for each state or something like that, and doing newsletters and press releases and, marketing the heck out of it. Could even get them even further recognition, where you never know, somebody who might want to sponsor them from the East Coast or West Coast might just see somebody that they would have never had exposure to before. So it all has a trickle effect.
That's tremendously insightful. So one of the things that we don't have today, right? So you talk about building a minimally viable product and adding features. One of the things we don't do today that we will do in the future is curate content and serve that up to a larger audience. So for every athlete that signs up, they have the opportunity to bring on over 1,000 fans each. Well, for every athlete you bring on, there's huge scale in the fan base, right? So at some point we could have millions, tens of millions of fans. And, when at scale, we have a really awesome opportunity to behave more like ESPN plays of the day. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but, we could take an obscure athlete from a Division III school that has an amazing play and serve that up, not just to their individual fans, but the collective fans on our platform, and really get them recognized. So when you see videos going viral today, they get lots of hearts and thumbs up and likes. We can turn that into dollars for these athletes, and we're really excited about the prospects of being able to do that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think the dollars mean a lot more than a thumbs up.
I agree.
Now, what does the future of Honorarium look like?
So right now it's getting as many athletes on our platform as possible. We're really excited and looking forward to the college football season and really building those relationships with our partner schools and the relationships we're curating now. And really, like I said, it is to become the world's largest community of their athletes and fans. So we'll do that with the new features, the charity features coming on, and curated content and in the future, unique experiences possibly for athletes and fans. But it really becomes a place where fans are celebrating student athletes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's awesome. I mean, you could even, really go crazy with the whole marketing part of it. I mean, you can have, like near the holidays, team, T-shirts for sale. Like, because if I'm a fan, I want one for my whole family, but I probably wouldn't even know about it. I mean, you could just really take this and go really crazy with it.
Yeah, we're excited.
Now, what have been some of the biggest lessons you've learned during the process of launching your startup?
I'll take this. I would, yeah. I would say, Kate, this isn't our first go around, right? Katie and I have both founded companies, so I wouldn't necessarily say we learned a lot of unique things with this company, but I would say in general, in starting up, I would say things always take longer than you think. Things are always harder than you think they'll be. I would say those are probably the two biggest things. Find a good team. Good people are hard to find, so compensate them. Right. I would recommend anyone doing a startup to set an option pool aside and set employees to become owners in the company and really have a vested interest in the business, because they're going to care a lot more. Mm-hmm. And you're going to bring opportunities to more people to truly generate wealth rather than just have a paycheck. And I think when people are properly incented, they can do amazing things. That's what I would say. Katie, do you want to add to that?
No, I think that's it. It's just, there's never enough time and there's never enough resources. you gotta be quick and nimble and very lean. And like Dan said, this isn't my first rodeo either. And I've had also experience in large corporate and in scaling businesses. And at every stage you learn to get leaner. Right. And that's really it.
Nice. Now, is there anything else you want to add to people, letting them know about Honorarium or how they could get involved, or, just tell us a little bit more? Or
yeah, so our website is honorariumnil.com. Usually if you just Google Honorarium, we'll be right there. We'd love for fans to come and support our athletes. We're growing daily. We're adding schools, we're adding athletes. And then if you know athletes, or maybe you're a parent of a student athlete, you can reach out to Dan and myself. We're always happy to chat about NIL and visit the site. We've got a bunch of information too on just NIL in general, but really it's starting to interact. We'd love for people to start to interact with our student athletes.
Yes. I like how you said too, it's not just one particular sport. I mean, you're taking it all the way through cheering. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah,
it's true. People are overlooked.
Yeah. Currently on our platform, I think we've got 23 different sports represented across men and women and co-ed sports.
Nice. Right. So I guess you've already answered on how people could get a hold of you. But if you don't have anything else to add, I would just say thanks again for being on the show. Again, that was Katie Malik and Daniel Dykins of Honorarium Inc. Thanks for listening to Successful Minds with Patty B. Never miss an episode by subscribing to the show. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Successful Minds with your host, Patricia Barnowski-Schneider. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we'll see you on the next episode.